Hello and welcome to the India Hangout. After a convincing win over South Africa last night, we look like we are ready to turn the corner in cricket. Actually, that's a question mark which I'm going to pose to Ayaz. And please feel free to send in some questions to Ayaz if you have about what things look like ahead. We are taking a small break from elections and focusing on something where there seems to be good news, at least for today. So Ayaz, solid medley of sixes yesterday from Kohli and Yuvraj.
Yes, I think we'll discuss
separately,
but the Indian team coming good in this tournament is one of the I think a terrific turnaround for this team, which over the last 6-8 months has actually been doing quite poorly. I would say dismally. Lose to South Africa, lose to New Zealand, don't win a single match. Don't reach the final of the Asia Cup, and then when everything seemed to be kind of falling apart, this tournament has, in a sense, resurrected the prestige of Indian cricket. And with the pall of controversy and accusations and everything else that's been going around, I think this is a terrific achievement.
Okay, so let's now ask why did it happen, and were there is there something secular, to use a much used term today, in the way they played yesterday and the way they won the match, and therefore if we could draw some conclusions going forward?
Whether it's playing at home or playing away, except on the tours of South Africa and New Zealand, which were quite disastrous. So I think that where Test cricket is concerned, we are still struggling because we don't have the bowling attack to win matches. So you'll always be on the back foot unless you throw up some young talent, or this young talent becomes better. But in T20 cricket or in ODIs, where the emphasis is not so much on getting 20 wickets, I think they are very, very good. And you backed up by a formidable batting lineup, led by, I think, Virat Kohli, is becoming, in my opinion, peerless in the contemporary game. Apart from AB de Villiers, I don't think anybody else now measures up to both these guys.
And you're saying that his performance yesterday, and I did see it, was consistent in the way he's been delivering hard-hitting sixes or fours or hard-hitting runs basically in the last this entire tournament and in the recent past?
The last 3 years, I would say, Govind, I think he's done exceptionally well and across formats. There was, just to get a little bit into technical jargon, a lot of people thought that he had a locked bottom hand and he would get exposed in conditions which didn't suit or were not the subcontinent conditions where you can get away with a lot. But he's made runs in England, he's made runs in Australia, he's made runs in South Africa while we were losing, and he's made runs in New Zealand. So he has emerged as a formidable talent, not just in Indian cricket but in international cricket.
Then, which obviously begs the next question. So all this, including the victory yesterday, largely which are hanging over as in almost like a pall of gloom over the state of cricket in India, right? Now, does one victory in some ways improve the mood at the BCCI camp, or everything to do with the BCCI?
I'm sure it's improved the mood, and I think in those sections which have have always thought that if India does well or if India wins, everything else will be forgotten. Perhaps they are right, or they have been right, but I don't think that's really what we should be looking at. That's not the issue. The scam, the corruption, that needs to be addressed ASAP and with a lot of vigor, rather than just some namby-pamby approach. So hopefully that will be addressed. But purely from a cricketing point of view, this has been a big fillip to the stock and the prestige of Indian cricket, and I dare say even for Mahendra Singh Dhoni, this has been a crucial comeback. He missed the Asia Cup, and
that's been a question that's been coming for some of our earlier hangouts, which we have focused on cricket, where we asked, will Gavaskar make it for Indian cricket, or should IPL 7 be scrapped? Another overhang question has been Dhoni.
Yes, he has been, and I think this has been a great tournament for him, though he's not done much with the bat, but his presence there, the fact that he's captaining the team, and I really liked one gesture of his yesterday, Govind. When he came in, India needed 1 run to win. He got actually a long hop which he could have hit anywhere he wanted, but he just played it defensively,
and then crossed over.
He gave Kohli the chance to hit the winning run, which shows that there is a...
And did he also come in later than he could have?
No, I think he came at the right time because that's the batting order. But I think that kind of a gesture really means a lot to a young team, and I was very happy to see him do it, because it's so easy for a captain to go out there and say, score the winning run, pull the stump out and run back to the pavilion, exulting. But no, he let Kohli get the honours.
Right. So Indian cricket turned the corner, right? So we said, okay, there is the whole BCCI overhang, and that should not that should continue.
Certainly
I mean, the resolution of that should continue with Sunil Gavaskar as the interim BCCI president looking after IPL. There are a whole bunch of.
I must tell you, I met Sunil Gavaskar last night at a dinner, private dinner, and he looked grim. So obviously, it's,
it's already sinking in.
Yeah. So. Look, I think that's one part which really needs to be addressed. It's not just about the IPL. It's about Indian cricket from the administrative point of view, which is a different ball game altogether. Where cricket is concerned, turned the corner for the moment. Yes, it seems like it. But India really need to do well in Test cricket and especially overseas. At one stage, 2011, 2010, 11, India was the best team in the world, even in Tests.
Yeah.
They've surrendered that very, very rapidly. And I think that's something that a course correction is needed very urgently.
Right. So now let's talk about IPL. Right. So that's the bear in the room, or the $1 billion question. So what does all this mean, if anything, to the way we could perform in the IPL, or with the way we are gearing up for the IPL?
See, what it means is that the IPL will get a big boost. If India wins the World T20 Championship, then we are a cricket crazy country, and everybody will be overjoyed, and then therefore
the sponsors will be happy.
And these guys will come back heroes and big stars again, and then everybody will flock to see them. And I think despite the the brouhaha around the elections, I think cricket will find its place in the spotlight again.
Right. So that's another interesting point. So I mean, will people's interest in cricket be resumed, and therefore maybe lessened in politics, which of course has become an obsession, as perhaps it should be at this point of time. So let's come to the other question, Ijaz. So the thing is, we've talked about the BCCI and its problems. We've said that here's cricket, and it's been we had the victory yesterday. Now, to some extent, are we seeing a detachment of the two, or will the overhang of the BCCI and its problems, assuming they take a long time to resolve, continue to weigh on the way the cricket team comes together, plays, and its spirit and so on?
I think that's a very probing question, and I think that's, a lot of people forget that whatever is happening in the environment has a direct impact on the players and their performance.
Okay.
So I think it's naive, in fact it's downright harsh to believe that everything else can go around, there can be scams, there can be controversies, but these guys should go
once
and play.
Once they enter the cricket
it doesn't
stadium,
happen like
things
that.
will...
Can you imagine, I mean, you got the captain of the Indian team dragged into a controversy, his name, and you expect him to go out and behave completely normally. It's not going to happen. Or some of the star players. I'm not saying that if there's any wrongdoing, it shouldn't be investigated. So therefore, that part really needs to be cleaned up.
Right.
And then I think the players will be able to express themselves better.
Okay, one more question. Will Indian cricket truly be out of the woods until the BCCI admin issues are sorted, which is like obviously a sort of corollary to what I was just asking you?
Well, Indian cricket overall will not be out of the woods, because you may win a tournament, you may do well in a series, but if this is if it's a persistent problem and the taint or the stigma continues, then obviously Indian cricket in its entirety is not has not turned the corner.
Right.
So I think both are very important. In fact, I dare say that the image of Indian cricket is very strongly linked to how the establishment is perceived and how it works.
Okay.
Not just how the players perform. The players, they are performers, so they'll go out there and do their jobs to the best of their abilities.
Right.
But unless this kind of pall of controversy is lifted from Indian cricket, I think it means that there will always be some kind of suspicion going around.
Okay, so that's I mean, and now let's talk about IPL 7, and because that's the next thing that we're looking out for. So what are the key factors going into IPL 7, apart from the fact that whether it should be scrapped or not, and that I think that answer seems to have been temporarily
delivered by the Supreme Court.
That's been delivered by the Supreme Court, so it will be held. Are we sure it's going to be held only in India, or is there still a chance it might be held partly outside?
No, it is partly outside.
Right.
It is partly outside till May 2. Now, what we've heard is that the Bangladesh leg, which they thought might be necessary, is not necessary.
Okay.
The election scenario is not affecting the Indian leg. So the Indian leg will be pretty big, almost a month.
Okay.
From April 16 till May 1 is when they are playing in the UAE.
Right. Right. So we are playing outside, so the game will happen on time. Now, what else are, I mean, what are the key things that are important to keep in mind as we go into IPL 7, given all that has happened, including at least the one victory that we've had yesterday?
I think essentially the IPL 7 needs to be controversy free. We've had too much of that, and every year, it's not just last year. Last year perhaps was the most damaging, but it's also because it's been building up over the previous 6 years. So, from year one, it's been dogged by some issue or the other, whether it's about franchises defaulting, players being caught, doing some spot fixing or alleged spot fixing. So, if it is a controversy-free IPL, I think it will go a long way in re-establishing the bona fides of not just the tournament, but also of Indian cricket. Because it's a domestic Indian tournament.
Yeah, and just as we came into IPL, comes a tweet here which says, "I'm not a cricket fan, but don't you think IPL is a little overrated?"
Well, overrated in which sense? Because it is, 2020.
I mean, for the same reason that everyone feels it's blown out of proportion. It's it's more entertainment than game and all of that.
It is, sportstainment, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But I think.
Did you invent that term?
Yeah. Well, it's a fancy term. But I think one has to go by what people want.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's a not an idealistic view of looking at it, but I don't think that Test cricket alone can support the game or be supported itself by audiences. So cricket has had a shift. In fact, it's I can't think of another game where there are 3 formats and all doing reasonably well. Even Test cricket, while everybody is moping and weeping and crying about it, especially the connoisseurs, it's the problem is that the audience for cricket is very skewed.
Yeah.
It's 75% in India, which is why India is so powerful, because 75% of the revenue comes from India. But you look at, Jacques Kallis playing his last Test match, one of the all-time greats in South Africa, in his hometown, and you don't have 4,000 people coming to watch a Test match, and it's India versus South Africa. So it's very precariously placed Test cricket. It needs all the support it can get from the other formats to kind
so
of.
So you're saying IPL is an important tailwind now for in all of cricket, and maybe not just the game, but the money.
I can tell you with complete conviction that if there was no IPL, then there would have been some other league which had been started in some other country.
Okay.
Like the big bashes. Maybe you would have had a league in England. So it's not just the IPL. IPL is an Indian domestic tournament. I think the state of the economy in India has kind of ramped up the value of the IPL because the monies are very big. The Big Bash, just to give you one parameter, the Big Bash player purchase cap is $1 million. In India, it is $9 million. That's the difference between the next best tournament.
Right. So we've got another tweet coming in. I think this is sort of someone who's obviously in agreement with you. That's Anaga. She says, IPL isn't overrated. It's meant to be entertaining cricket, which it is. And it's also a fantastic platform for youngsters. So we can assume that Anaga is young.
And look at the, it's massive family entertainment.
Yeah.
It's 3.5 hours. It's like an evening out. In many cases, I think young
it
moms,
has gotten new audiences. I mean, that's what I remember Srinivasan saying somewhere that,
women, kids, it's like going to a movie
who never ever came
evening
to
out,
a,
and barring the dance girls, and you might say, why is this happening? But beyond that, it's very clean entertainment.
Yeah.
But clean is the operative word. I think that's where the IPL needs to be cleaned up of all its problems.
Okay. So another couple of tweets. Yesterday's post-match interviews are proof on how IPL has shaped and changed cricket dynamics.
It has. I think there are lots of votaries of, people against, not votaries, votaries of Test cricket, but anti-T20, and they say it's ruining technique, it's ruining temperament of cricketers. I really don't think so. Your 2 best batsmen today are AB de Villiers and Virat Kohli, and they are successful across formats.
Okay.
Your best bowlers today are Dale Steyn for one, and you look at some of the other bowlers; they are fantastic in across all formats.
Right. So when we ask the question, has cricket turned the corner? We really let's look at the landscape of what we've discussed. Right. So we've said one that yes, we are on the heels of a good victory yesterday, heading to a good performance today. Tomorrow maybe we'll win, and maybe things will look good after that. The second is that this should not be taken as a signal to assume that the administrative problems of the Board of Control for Cricket in India have been resolved. We should go after it with as much diligence. We should not
be lulled into believing now everything is sorted out because we won.
And linked to that is the fact that what's happening in the administrative side has an overhang on what happens on the pitch, and we should not forget that.
Undoubtedly. I think that's very important to consider.
Right. And finally, the T20 format is something that's a good format, and it's providing important and requisite tailwind to the whole of cricket. And not only that, as you say, some of the cricketers who are doing well in the T20 format are actually doing well across formats. So therefore, let's not give up on the game.
Yeah, I'll give you a simple, example, which is very telling, and I found it myself doing a little research. There have been 28 Test triple centuries scored in the history of the game. That's about 130 years. The last 12 have come from 2004.
Okay.
Which is in 10 years.
Right.
So everybody who says that technique is, a triple century in a test match is a triple century.
Yeah, it's a long effort.
It's a long effort. The last one was scored by Brendan McCallum against us to save a match for New Zealand.
Yeah.
Viru Sehwag has scored twice to win matches for India.
Right.
And so on and so forth. And it's not come against, minnow countries like Zimbabwe or Bangladesh. Only 2 of those 12 have come against weak opponents.
Right.
So I'm saying that a lot of this worry and concern and chest beating is actually ill-founded. I don't think it has been detrimental to the game. In fact, it's I think added a dimension of daring do which was missing, which is why you had so many drawn test matches that people got fed up. Now more and more results are coming. Maybe matches get over in 3.5-4 days, but that's great fun here.
And so what you're saying is that there's an interesting convergence happening, despite the fact that some matches are being played in hours and other matches are played in days. And this, of course, is an issue that has been raging since the day T20 came into our life, as it were.
Absolutely. And the other thing which is emerging now is that more and more, you don't have a clear front runner like you had the West Indies in the 70s and 80s or Australia in the 1990s and the first part of this millennium, where they would win everywhere.
Okay.
Now more and more teams are winning at home and losing overseas.
So last question, Ayaz, we must wrap up now. Has the World Cup lost its charm because of IPL and other T20 matches?
I don't think so. I think we saw what happened in 2011, the India winning the World Cup. I mean, it just sent the whole nation into a frenzy. So I think playing for country and cap has its, its unbounded following you'll get. The IPL, yes, club loyalty is still to develop. It may become as strong as we see in EPL and football. That's some time away. But that's a lot of fun. I think playing for the country still is paramount for the players and I think even for the fan.
Right. Ayaz, we've completely run out of time. Has cricket turned the corner? The answer seems to be yes, at least for today.
At least for today.
And we will resume our discussion in a couple of days on the subject of cricket. And we, of course, wish the Indian cricket team all the best for the T20 that's going on in Bangladesh. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to be back very soon, which is Monday on the India Hangout. Thanks for watching.